You know, I think that we're seeing a really fascinating dynamic in America right now. You see, on the one hand, the open carry movement, and now these guys want to carry their AR-15s into the Republican convention in Texas, and the Texas Republican Party is all freaked out about it. And it's fine if you do it at Starbucks, but don't do it in our place, please. So you got the Republican Party all freaked out about it. The NRA came out and spoke out against it, and then groveled the next day, saying, "Oh, we didn't mean us. Sorry. Don't, please, guys, don't show up at our place with your guns." In fact, actually, I suspect that there was a good chunk of that in there. Please don't show up at the NRA headquarters, wherever it is. I think it's here in Washington, D.C., with your AR-15s. That would be scary. Go scare somebody at Chipotle. So we're seeing that. We're seeing these incredible conspiracy theories about Obama, and I'm going to go through a list of them in a minute here. And we're seeing the Tea Party groups subscribing to these conspiracy theories and to these bizarre notions about what government is up to, liberals are up to, the FEMA camps, the whole thing, all this stuff. And I think that all of this is all, this has happened before in American history, but it has always been associated with a depression. I remember 6 months or a year ago, I was talking about how I've spent a fair amount of time in the Middle East, in a number of Middle Eastern countries. And it always fascinated me how in the poorer Middle Eastern countries there are these elaborate theories. The obvious ones that everybody knows about are the theories that, Jewish bankers control the world, blah-de-blah, right? And it's all about the Jews. And then they get into these things about, Jews use, Arab children's blood for matzah and all that kind of stuff. But there's actually a whole level of these, very small conspiracy theories, but they're really tightly held. And I think that, and you don't so much find these in more affluent cultures. Hitler preyed on conspiracy theories, but it was during a Great Depression. Nowadays, you don't so much. Well, actually, you're starting to see some of these conspiracy theories reappear in Europe, but in austerity-ridden Europe. You don't see them so much in Sweden or Denmark or Norway, but you're finding them in Greece. So I think what's happening here but to bring this back to the United States, I think what's happening is that the middle class has been hollowed out by 32 years of Reaganomics. There's no disputing that. I mean, you can look at the charts and graphs all day long and just see that when Reagan came into office and declared war on organized labor, on working people, and started changing our trade policy to take apart our tariffs and granting companies exemptions to tariffs and granting companies exemptions to the 1935 Buy America Act, which said, or granting federal government agencies, government represents almost 20% of our total GDP, our total economic activity, and one of the laws that was passed during FDR's time was if you are a government agency and you are a federal government agency and you are sourcing something, if you're buying new desks or furniture or computers or tables or doors or building materials or whatever, you have to buy American unless the federal government gives you a waiver. Well, the Reagan administration just started giving these waivers out like candy. And now, the federal government pretty much doesn't buy anything. Bernie Sanders is trying to reverse this. He went into one of our callers actually pointed this out to him, and he went in and found out himself. You walk into the Smithsonian gift shop, everything in there is made in China. See, technically that's against the law. So anyhow, here's my theory. The middle class is screwed. Average working people, and by and large, this is the white middle class, the white American middle class. Average working white, because African Americans have just over the last couple of decades started to get into the middle class. in a really significant way. And now they're slipping out too, by the way. In fact, they're slipping out faster than whites are. So working class people, as they get into, as they're being thrown out of the middle class, as economic destruction is taking place and is successfully taking place, as economic destruction is, just ripping the country apart, these working men who now no longer have jobs or what was meaningful work for them, even if it was factory labor, it was still meaningful work because they were paid well and they could raise their family and they could put their kids through school and they could be the single breadwinner in their families. These working men now are not the breadwinners for their homes. They feel emasculated. They feel neutered. They feel disempowered. And what do people do when they feel disempowered? They do two things. Number one, they search for symbols of power that they can grab onto, hang onto, and use. And I think that that's what's fueling this whole open carry thing. You got a bunch of guys who feel like, hey, we're not men anymore. Reaganomics, they don't realize that Reaganomics has done this to them, but they feel like, we're just not men anymore. We can't provide for our families. So what are we going to do? We're going to grab a symbol of power and masculinity, a gun. It's the ultimate power, the power of life or death, the power to kill people. We're going to grab this symbol of masculinity and walk into Starbucks with it and strut around in front of Chipotle. So, I think the success of 33 years of Reaganomics in destroying the American middle class explains in part the open carry movement, and I think it explains in part all these Obama conspiracy theories. Now, obviously, there's a good chunk of racism in here as well, but you add the two together and it just goes on steroids. Mother Jones published a collection of the Obama conspiracy theories. Maybe you have ones that are missed here that you'd like to call in and share about. Obama is a secret Muslim. This took the stage right after the 2004 Democratic Convention with chain emails talking about his true religious affiliation. Obama once aided the Mujahideen. Obama is in the pocket of the Muslim Brotherhood. Obama redecorated the Oval Office in Middle Eastern style so he could have a prayer rug, right? Obama married a Pakistani guy. Yeah, seriously. Jerry Corsi wrote a book about this, Jerome Corsi, who wrote the Swiftboat Veterans book, came on this program and talked about this. He's secretly gay. He's got a ring with a Quranic verse on it. No, it's just a little, squiggly decorative thing. But no, it's a Quranic verse. He was funded by a Saudi prince. Well, actually, George W. Bush was. I mean, when he bought his oil company. But in any case, he was born in Kenya. He lost his U.S. citizenship. Michelle's so-called Whitey tape, that Obama was a Black Panther, that Obama was the son of Malcolm X, that he's the son of Frank Marshall Davis, that his mom and dad were communists, that his ghostwriter was Bill Ayers, that he was trained to overthrow the government, that he won't say the Pledge of Allegiance. Remember that? That he removed the flag from Air Force One. None of these things are true, right? He ordered soldiers to swear allegiance to him instead of the country. This was a satire, by the way, that was put out that was taken seriously by everybody in the right wing. That he secretly gave away American islands to Russia. A member of the Texas House of Representatives promoted that one. That he's putting together youth re-education camps, that he's coming for your guns, that he's coming for your gold, that he's got FEMA concentration camps out there. I mean, the more recent ones, Reverend Wright, Bill Ayers, the IRS, Benghazi, the VA, he wants to redistribute wealth, Fast and Furious, the ACA numbers are faked, unemployment numbers are faked. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And I think while, they went after Clinton in some of these same ways. Remember Vince Foster and all that. I think some of this is coming out of the success of Reaganomics.